I am going to show you 5 broken mechanics that you can abuse in the new season of Rainbow Six Siege. We'll start off with several ways that you can use his nades effectively. We'll cover how you can get much faster ADS speed, a couple unique features about how Blackbeard repels, including how to silently hot breach, some very surprising operators that Blackbeard is actually a direct counter to, and finally a way that you can actually drop shot people using Blackbeard. I've included timestamps in the description below so you can skip ahead or revisit any tip that you like. The first mechanic with Blackbeard that you can abuse in the new season of Siege is actually just his nades. When Blackbeard throws a nade, he actually stays behind his shield as he's throwing the nade. It doesn't expose your body at all. So what you can do is, for example, if Capcan is sitting in this corner here, I can throw a nade right here and then a nade directly at Capcan, and now there's just nothing he can do. He either has to run away from that second nade that I threw into the other nade and die, or he has to stay where his nade is, and he can't shoot me because of my shield. Now, trying to get them to run into your nades is actually only one method that you can use. For example, if I want to flush him out of this corner, I can throw a nade into the corner. Now, while he's running away from the nade, I can shoot him as he's running away. The other option is if I throw a nade into that corner and he starts running away, and then I throw a second nade halfway out, he needs to fully sprint to get out of there or he will just die to the nade. So if he's sprinting, I can shoot him. If he's not sprinting, he just explodes. Now, the third way that you can actually abuse Blackbeard's nades is by throwing them slightly behind the enemy, so that way they have to run to you, you can melee them, and you can shoot them in the head very easily. If they want to run away fast enough, they have to turn their back to you. And while they're sprinting away, you can just shoot them in the back. Or they have to come closer to you to actually get away from the nade, and you can melee them and kill them. Now, the second mechanic that you can abuse with Blackbeard is changing your attachments to get faster ADS time. Usually with shields, there is not much that you can do to actually get faster ADS time, because with shields, the most that you can do is add a laser sight. And while that does give you slightly faster ADS time, you can actually do more than that with Blackbeard. With both of Blackbeard's guns, you can not only add a laser sight like you can most shields, but you can also run iron sights. Now, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, you can see that if you run an ACOG, it adds 0.04 seconds onto your ADS time. If you add a 1x sight, it actually adds 0.02, but with iron sights, it adds nothing. And trust me, when you are ADSing with Blackbeard, it really does make a massive difference in whether the enemy kills you or you kill the enemy. Another really good attachment for Blackbeard is the horizontal grip. The reason for this is you get a 5% movement speed boost, and that works with your shield, meaning you can close the distance faster and hopefully melee more enemies, netting you more kills.
Bro, I'm on a respectable edging streak at the moment.
Let's go. Now, the third mechanic that you can abuse with the new Blackbeard rework is actually 2 separate tips, but they both have to do with repelling. He is the only shield operator in the game that can keep his shield out while he's repelling, meaning I could just sit here for as long as I wanted and there's no way that Capcan here could kill me. Now, I can use the tips from before, throw a nade at him, and shoot him as he's running away if I really feel like it. Or I can just hold on that window for pressure, making sure that he cannot get control of 90. I could sit there for 6 rounds if I needed to. Now, the second part of this tip kind of has to do with the fact that you can break through barricades with shields. Usually when you go on rappel with a shield, the shield is on your back, so you cannot go through these windows the same way that you usually could go through a barricade. But with Blackbeard, you can silently hot breach these windows, as you can see by the little enter prompt at the bottom left there. So if I come up to the window, I press space to enter, there is no way that this Capcan could hear me repelling in. It allows you to catch any operators you want completely off guard. Now, the fourth mechanic that you can abuse with Blackbeard is surprisingly enough a counter to Oryx. Usually when Oryx charges at you, he actually knocks you to the ground. As you can see here, he basically has the same effect that shields have on most operators. But with Blackbeard's ability where he can breach through soft walls, you can use that ability anytime. So when Oryx dashes at you, you can actually just use your breach ability to completely counter his charge, meaning Oryx is not a counter to Blackbeard even though he's a shield operator. You can even counter his charge and then melee him immediately after. Honestly, the fact that you can bully Oryx like this is stupid. Oryx is supposed to be the counter to shield operators. Now, Blackbeard is actually a counter to another operator as well. So usually if you melee clash with a shield operator, she just does the same thing that it does with any operator when you melee them. But if you use the breach ability, it actually fully knocks her to the ground, meaning if you can close the distance with Clash, you can knock her over and have a teammate shoot her. This is not something we've ever been able to use to counter Clash before, meaning Clash is just more useless than she was before. Now, you do need to be risky when doing this, because if Clash shocks you, it actually knocks your shield all the way to the side, meaning any enemies that are anywhere near Clash can just shoot you and you die. So if you're going to try to use Blackbeard as a Clash counter, make sure that you have a teammate with you. Otherwise, Clash will shock you and one of her teammates is going to shoot you in the face. GG. Now, the last mechanic that you can abuse with Blackbeard is dropshotting. So as you know, if you dropshot, you cannot ADS. Even if I was sitting here ADSing at Capcan, when I dropshot, it un-ADSs me, and then I have to re-ADS. Obviously, that is not good. If you combine a bunch of tips that I've already given you, what you can do is pretend I throw a nade behind Capcan to actually get him to come closer to me. When he's up close to me, I can melee him, and he only goes to right here. What I can do is I can run up to him, melee him, prone, and hip fire him, and because I'm so close, all of my bullets will hit. Usually, you can't do this, because if you try to get close to him, he's just gonna shoot you, which is not good. And you also can't do it with shields, because they just have a pistol. What's the point? But with Blackbeard, it works extremely well. Even if I don't melee him, I can just drop shot and hip fire, and there's nothing he can do. So you can see Capcan is trying to shoot me. So if I can throw a nade behind him, right, I can get him to come closer to me. Maybe just melee him to the nade, I guess. But let's pretend that we didn't just discover another broken thing that you can do with Blackbeard by meleeing people into your nades. If I sprint up to him while he's shooting me, then if I drop shot, I can just hip fire him. Who's going to expect a Blackbeard to randomly prone while sprinting at you and start hip firing? No one is going to look down and no one is going to shoot you. Of course, sometimes they might, but this works for me more often on the test server than it doesn't.